Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Chronicles of Chiron, the Lion, the Witch, and the Healer. I'm Chrystopher, the Astromedium. Jessica, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Jessica Tanselle Medium. So excited to be back tonight with Chrystopher.
Yes.
Take a little social media vacation.
I am very excited for you to be back as well.
How are you?
I'm doing very well, actually. I am experiencing all of these shifts going on. I wanted to say shit going on, but all these shifts that are happening. So I am hanging in there. I'm doing just like everyone else is doing. I am doing the best I can do. And I'm now starting to say that to myself, which is not unlike me. There have been other times I've had experience with pumping myself up and being positive and all that, but sometimes when you go through what we go through on a healing journey or in spiritual awakening, because it all gets intertwined, we can call it whatever we want, on the path to reuniting with the soul, there are some dark places I have gone and some really lonely, shameful places and just really bad feeling places. And in those times, you don't feel like telling yourself, I am one with the universe. But those are the types of things that I've started to feel called to do again right now. And so I'm feeling pretty good.
Good. I talk about affirmations all the time. I actually need to hang some around my house because I write them like in regular, especially when I'm doing like my shadow work, journaling work. I would do a lot of affirmations.
When you say shadow work, journaling work, what does that entail?
Well, it entails me writing down what I'm feeling and what's triggered that feeling.
Yeah, is there a system or do you just kind of go with your intuition?
So this is my system. It's actually, I'll be sharing it tomorrow night in my shadow work workshop with my
You're doing a shadow work workshop?
Yeah, it's called, yes.
She does it all, folks, okay? I really didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's in my
damn.
magic.
That was not a shameful plug. That actually is happening. This was organic.
It actually is, and it's only for those in my program. So
that's very cool.
My program are doing this workshop.
So you're teaching them this. So go into more detail about this, because or just a little bit.
I'll tell you.
I know we can't. Yeah, just tell me a little bit.
This is just a journaling portion. Like workshop aside, this is just one exercise that I teach. And what I recommend, and I've done this for quite a few years, is I will write down what's triggered me and how I feel about it. And I do now know like how I've perceived it means there's something right here I need to sit with. Right. So if I was triggered by something that really should not have triggered me, or maybe it triggered me and I didn't know it shouldn't have triggered me.
That happens to me, yeah.
Right? And so I will write down what I'm feeling, and then I will write down, I release the feeling of fear of not being accepted. I release the feeling of whatever it may be, and then I write affirmations. I am enough. I am fun. People love me. I love me. Like whatever it is you need to feel in that moment. But when there is a memory tied to it, like, I mean, you all know a lot of what I just went through because we've shared it. But so, I knew that I was feeling similar to how I did when my mom passed. So that made me realize that I was triggered a little bit deeper. So I would go then into that memory and I would write how I was feeling and what had happened.
Oh yeah, that's like roots in the ground. I like it. Very good.
And what comes out when you write? Like I can tell you the story, but there's a lot I'm missing when I speak it.
Right.
Because I need a lot of visuals. So when I write, spirit tells me more about the memory.
Oh, interesting.
I remember more. And it comes from my subconscious sometimes because it's deep in there.
Right.
So once I write that, for instance, I've done this on my, when I was sexually molested as a child, I've written about it and been like, I release my fear of.
Right.
And I am safe. I am worth loving. Whatever it is you need to feel, you're releasing, you're writing it out and you're releasing it. You're probably crying it out to, and then you're writing, but I am. And it's usually just the opposite of what the release is. You know, if I have a fear of, you know, whatever.
This is kind of what I've been doing, but out loud. I'll be in the shower or I'll just be in the car and I'll catch myself in a spiral and I'll start to say, no, let's talk about it. And I'll talk to myself like I'm the future version of myself or my parent. I'll kind of do that. And when I say, you know, I was just doing it earlier, I was like, you're just fine. You're this, that, and the other. And I could feel myself being hard on myself. And I'm like, and you're doing the best you can do. And I don't normally say things like that to myself. Okay. And I'm doing it out loud because the whole writing thing, I've done journaling before and I'm a really good writer, but like I'm a talker. So I'm like, maybe this I will be more consistent with than the journaling, but it's the same process because so many people want to do affirmations, but they're doing affirmations to turn the feeling off rather than to process it. So there is a process in which this should go. And I was hoping I was doing something right. It felt right by what I was doing, just talking to myself and noticing those negative thought spirals and sitting with them and saying, well, let's get in there and talk about it as if I'm in therapy with myself. And I'll do this out loud so that my thoughts can't trail off into somewhere else. So it's a little more focused, like writing. Writing is even more focused because it takes more mental and energetic focus to complete that whole process. So I can understand how that would even go deeper or allow more deepening of that healing. And it really, I do feel better. I do find myself triggered by something or feeling something in my body and working my way out of it. And this is kind of new for me because back in the Abraham days, before I went through a Kundalini awakening, when I was spiritually waking up, I would say, I was a little baby coming out of the egg, just kind of relearning things. And I got into Abraham and that really opened my eyes to thoughts create your reality. And I used to do a lot of those affirmations, but it just didn't feel right anymore when I was going through my Kundalini awakening. And for the past few years, just feeling sometimes that emptiness and that processing things that don't even belong to me sometimes, you know, ancestral things, and you're just not feeling well. You're just not yourself. You've had a lot of ego death. You don't even know who you are anymore. You start to question everything. I am powerful. I don't believe that. I don't believe it. So it's like there is a process, and sometimes you're not in the right headspace to be doing an affirmation.
I'm not in the right headspace to be doing an affirmation all the time right now. And I was reminded that I needed to have my affirmations up rather than just in my book. I have them in my book. Look, right now, I saw something the other day I wrote down, and it says, I am enough. I forgive myself. All I need is within me now. So sometimes I'll write on like I always leave a front page in my journal blank and I affirmations. But even if it is like for days when you can't do it, either it's written in a journal on the day where you're like, I am feeling myself.
Right.
On the days that you guys are feeling yourself, then write all that shit down because you're gonna need it.
Yes, you're gonna need it. And I'm just trying to make sure I'm keeping up with these comments. Misha Lay says we look great.
I needed that comment.
And her sun sign is Virgo, so she's noticing all the details and everything. I'm liking that. Charity says hi. And Katie's watching. Hello, Katie. I do want to comment a little bit more on this because there are affirmation apps out there that I have seen. I found that really interesting because another damn thing I invented and didn't get to quick enough, but on my phone, I have not notes, but the reminder app that comes with the phone. Yeah. And I write reminders to myself and they are timed every day. And they say, you know, I love myself unconditionally. I am strong. Last year when I tried to do them, it didn't work as well. I didn't feel it. I was going through way more last year. It was way heavier. I actually had another wave of Kundalini awakening. And it was just not feeling right. Also, this year I've had a few journeys that I've gone through, and that I definitely think something shifted in this last one, and that's really helping me do this more. But they say things, and I've switched it from "you are strong" to "I am strong," and I was guided to do that. And I know when I'm being guided and when I'm just doing something. It felt like both. It felt like, well, I know that I am means you're owning it more, but I changed all of them so that when I said it, and I also don't just read it, I say it out loud, and I close my eyes and I try to feel that feeling, because I've heard all the videos, I've read all the books. I'm like, let me actually do these things, because I'm like, they say to do them and I don't ever stay consistent with it or actually do it. So maybe that's why I'm not receiving the benefit. And I can also tell you, my cousin, who is not like us whatsoever, she's empathic. I'm sure she's got psychic abilities. She's just totally turned them off. If she ever sees this, I love you. But she is lots of Capricorn in her chart. She is a logic, 3D grounded physical being. Okay. She's been an atheist most of her life. So we've talked about her. She's come up in readings between you and I. And she told me a few months ago about how 13, 14 years ago, she used to, and this is my cousin, and she's quite about 13 years older than me. And she never told me certain things about what happened in her 20s. And she was having panic attacks and really bad anxiety. And she still takes medication for clinical depression and things like that. And she is totally open about it. And she's, pro medication when you need it, that kind of thing. And so she takes it, but she used to carry around Ativans or Xanax, one of the two, Klonopin, because she had to have them, because she was so worried about having a panic attack she would have one. And I was going through that during my Kundalini rising. I was panicking about panicking, and the energy was just there, and I was so scared, and then it's created this cycle. And she told me that she started going to therapy regularly, which she still does. She is religious about it. That's her religion, is therapy. And what she and her therapist worked out, she was in cognitive behavioral therapy, to put post-it notes all over her bathroom and all over her apartment. They were everywhere. She still does it, but for like more responsibility type things. She likes to stay organized that way. But these were all affirmations. And I didn't know she'd ever done anything like that. But she said within a year, she's gone. No panic attacks.
Awesome.
Yeah, and they have not. I mean, I'm sure she could get herself into one if something real. I don't know, but from my understanding, that's been so many years ago that it's not even a thing.
Wow.
And that was something she thought, is this ever going to end?
Right.
And she said affirmations did that for me.
Oh, I love that.
And I was like, and this is somebody who's not doing it for her soul. She is, but that's just not her focus.
Right.
And that spoke volumes to me, because that's my very logical, very grounded cousin, who did something, because I'm both. I'm very much about getting the results and the science of something, and then getting that spiritual benefit. So that may also be why I'm a little bit more, but it's a feeling. When you're in those places where you're not feeling it right now, you can't even resonate. You just have to be honest and say, I don't. Sometimes a couple of years ago, when I went through Kundalini awakening, I would listen to Abraham and be like, shut the fuck up. Everything is not love and light. And while that's true, they're just trying to hold us there. And I understand their place and their purpose. Abraham's not shadow workers. These are high dimensional beings. They're about helping us stay in alignment and learning how to control our reality, or create our reality. So,
that's one thing I recommend to people, is listening to Abraham Hicks. I actually picked that one up and added in a little Brene Brown, and I send those to my clients too. It's just so uplifting, and it's a good practice. And also, I've been there recently where somebody will say something positive, and I'm like, I might tell them to go shove it.
yeah.
So those were nice words, by the way, right there. Y'all know those were nice words from me. But that's why you need those like on the wall for those days. And you might even rip off those days where you're like, but,
well, and another thing that has come up for me with, starting to do these affirmations more, and a lot of times I'm not even thinking about that. I'm not going, okay, let's do affirmations.
Right.
I'm just doing it in the moment to be like, oh, whoa, let's talk about this out loud. Even if we have to do this every day, we're going to catch yourself doing that. And we're going to tell a new story is what I keep telling myself. And these are things I have heard other people say, tell a new story. And I'm just like, I want to be that person that starts telling a different story and then their life changes. And like, so I'm like, no, I'm going to tell myself a different story. And it doesn't mean, because I had trouble back in the day, I was a spiritual bypasser. I wasn't going to feel negative emotion. I was going to get away from them using Abraham and all this kind of stuff. So Kundalini came along and said, Kundalini is, I'm like, oh shit, I shouldn't say that because it's going to come for the attack tonight. It's a snake. It will bite you hard. Okay. But I really feel now that I know what shadow work is, and I'm starting to say, ooh, you got evil in you, and I love you anyway. You are not this wonderful, beautiful, love and light person 100%. And I love that anyway. That's new. I'm not saying I'm healed. I'm just saying that's new. Because some people, they're like, oh, I don't text back. I need to do shadow work on that. Y'all, I ain't talking about shit like that. Okay. That's the baby pool. I'm talking about the deep end here. Okay. Us light workers who go to the really dark places. Because we're that big. That's the thing. We're that deep. If you have enough capacity to hold that much light in this dimension, you must then have enough capacity to hold that which is not light, because everything is polarized here. So maybe there was an Instagram post that I just saw today. Your path is harder because your calling is higher. That's the kind of stuff I want to read right now, because thank you. There is something happening here. There's a purpose for all of this really heavy ass emotions that I'm constantly feeling. Am I doing something wrong? Should I be doing more affirmations? Because when I do those, it doesn't feel right. And am I sitting in this emotion too long? Am I just going to continue to? Sometimes, go ahead. Sorry, I'm just like, I'm getting passionate about this because these are the things I think about a lot. Am I doing this healing thing right? And then I'll say, oh, you're trying to get something right, Christopher. There is no right or wrong way to do this. But I'm like, it just hurts so bad.
Right. You've been doing this work, but let's talk about what shadow work is, which is really incorporating in the pieces we want to hide.
Right. Ooh.
We have shame from. Sexual abuse is a big
sexual stuff is a big one for me
too.
They
were ingrained in us, and then we learn they're not true, and we have shame about them. Things society puts shame on, like being gay.
Right. I've had to deal with a lot of shame in my life that I transmuted somehow. So I knew I can do this.
Yeah.
I've done it before, but I've never done it at this level.
Right. This is a really deep level. And when you said create, what you said, rewrite the story. I talk about that in shadow work too, in a different way. Because when I go through and I wrote about, and I'm telling you like just the top of it, but I have done healing work on this. But when I went back and wrote about my sexual trauma, I can rewrite that story. What did I want to happen? Because everything, I was just reading about this the past couple of days in my trauma book. Everything really is happening from this present moment, and from this moment, I can rewrite and recreate that memory and change it.
That's what affirmations do.
Right. And so it may take, for a memory, it might take a month. For an affirmation, it might take a month. You never know. You might have to do it over and over with an affirmation or rewriting a story.
Yes.
Like a little bit. They just called it a little chip off the block here and there.
Yeah. And I'm getting some Venus energy here. Like, how can you see beauty in what happened first? Don't try to say it didn't happen. That's going too far. Abraham would say you jumped too far. Okay. You're not going to make it. You're going to fall into the ravine. Bring it a little bit closer and say, what good came out of it when you're ready to go there? And if that doesn't feel right, you're not, that's too far. Your emotions tell you.
Right. And even, the past couple of weeks, and going through, I mean, you had a past like a few months that was like hell, going through it's like shit, right?
Oh, it's been going on for a few years. It's just, it comes in waves.
And so going through that, it's really hard. I don't even know where I was going now, but they a chip off of that. They also showed it on your shoulder. Have you been having shoulder issues?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't you see me constantly? Mm-hmm.
That's moving out of here. And I normally think of give and take, but they're saying balance. That makes sense, right? But they're showing it.
I do feel kind of off balance a lot. That is so weird you just said that.
I want to like.
Yes, all day I've been going, I've been trying to stretch. I'm feeling there's a lot of purging happening right now. So okay. Can I just get into the ascension symptoms real quick? First of all, Michelet says, who did you say? Abraham Hicks? Yes, Michelet. Abraham Hicks. You'll also find them under Esther Hicks, who is the woman who channels these beings. You ready for that? Katie says, how do you keep from being drained when you are sharing your light? Ooh.
That's a great one. I'm ready for
that. Take it over. And then I'm going into the ascension symptoms.
Well, one thing you need to do is you need to be clearing your energy every day, and that includes clearing and removing cords from your loved ones, your friends, your family. I remove my cords every day because we connect in so easily when we think we have Chrystopher and I right now have a cord from each other.
Yes.
We're across states. We have an energetic cord to each other. So when I'm done,
because of our awareness of each other and our experiences of each other, I got you. That's how spirit comes into us, and they're like, where are they coming from? No, they are a part of you because you know they exist, and they're in your DNA, even the ones you didn't know. So everything's quantumly connected.
And so when I think of a person, I'm activating that cord. When they think of me, they're activating it. Doesn't matter which end it's coming from. Okay, it doesn't matter which end it's coming from. But when I clear every day, clearing every day is important, but also if you're feeling drained, it's important to recognize that that person is draining your energy. But I put up a protective bubble and I disconnect every day.
So how do you do that every day?
So all magic really, I mean, I love physical magic, but intent is everything. Everything is energy, and whatever you focus your intent on expands, including your intuition. So basically, when I'm in the shower, I call in my spirit team. For you, that might be God, that might be Source, that might be Archangel Michael, and I ask for them to clear my body, my aura, and disconnect me from anybody. Allow me to be in only my energy. And once they do that, I ask to clear my home and my car typically as well. And then I imagine that I've got this Glinda the Good Witch bubble around me. And it's surrounding me, and it's got all my energy in it. And I'm asking for everybody else's energy to be out. That doesn't mean I can't feel or experience, but you're energetically keeping your stuff here and asking for everybody else's to be out. Sometimes you have to reset this during the day. I'm thinking of therapists having to do this.
And what if Katie, let's say, because I'm going to frame it from her question, the way she makes it sound is if, what about in the moment before you get home and realize you've got to get stuff off, even though I don't like looking at it that way. Nobody's negative energy is getting on you, and they are a person too, experiencing their own things. Let's be very clear about that. But in the moment, she's sharing her light, and it's not that they're taking it or glomming off of her. She's just probably Some
people do take light.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You're right. But it's because of their energetic frequency and the way that they pull. Yeah, I got you.
It's easy. It is easy. It is just setting your awareness or your intent in your mind or out loud, saying,
it's intention.
Spirit team, clear me from anybody else. Allow me to be in my energy and keep me safe.
And I also feel like we need to be careful as energy people, whether you feel you're a light worker or not. If you know that you're sensitive and you feel these subtle energies and things like that, and you would ask a question like this, okay? A lot of us are using our own energy to focus on people instead of opening up our channel and pulling in that energy and just letting it. But our ego is what causes a lot of that too. Expectation, the intent, because you're the one controlling the energy.
And it's very true. And I just went through this ego death over the past motherfucking week and 2 and 3. Okay. But like it is true. It can be positive pull or negative pull, and it's usually subconscious. So just that intent of releasing, of disconnecting, of putting, sometimes I'll even put a shield up. I had somebody that would come to me as a dental hygienist and share everything.
Right, yes.
Because I'm an empath also.
Yes. HSPs and empaths are really drained by over talkers and over sharers, which I can do.
Right. And so when she did, like, I wanted to take it on and fix it. When you do that and you're there on their emotion like that, you need to put that shield up and be like, back up. You have to put that shield up immediately. You should do it every day before you leave the house. It's not going to keep people away from you, although you can put it up strong enough to where people will not come near you. I do that all the time. I don't even mean to, and people will avoid me because my wall is so strong. So well, that shit's real.
What I do is every day, of course, I take Palo Santo or sage. I sage my whole body. It's become my ritual, okay? And I say, angels, guides, loved ones, star family, whatever, you know, please transmute any energies, frequencies, thought forms, emotions, entities. I say the whole bit because I'm like, y'all aren't skipping a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Please transmute these energies and send them back to the source with love. Okay. And then I'll, you know, sometimes when I'm sleeping, I'll ask, you know, create a sacred space in this room so that I maybe, there are things I do as well, but it is also very important that you take that to the physical and you shower at this time, especially. So I will try to, as much as possible, shower morning and night. And of course, I don't have really dry skin. So some of you are probably thinking he's out of his goddamn mind. No, because there's a lot of clearing we're doing it in sleep time. Okay. There's the whole static electricity building up on our bodies. It neutralizes that. That is just something we can measure. What about all the other buildup? Okay. So there is a cleansing of the electromagnetic field with the water as well, especially if you want to use like pink salt scrubs and things like that. We feel like it's just scrubbing dead skin away, but that crystalline material will also help to transmute and lighten the frequency.
When you do an Epsom salt bath, it is really important to shower after because you've been soaking in everything you've released. So I will soak and then shower.
Yes. And of course, you can always imagine, like you've told me to do, imagine all that stuff going down into the drain. And that's a great visualization, and visualization focuses your intent. Okay, that's the purpose of it. But it doing that is really great for us who carry energy in our, especially now with these ascension symptoms, which I want to get into. But go ahead.
Okay, well, go into the ascension symptoms, but I was just going to say, you know,
go ahead.
You do not have to be sitting in a sacred space or in a meditation or anywhere specific. You just say in your mind, clear me, and it's done.
Yeah, I mean, it can be, yeah.
So please go into the ascension symptoms because
okay, everybody. So, of course, we've got some major energies at work this week. So, Saturday is the epic 12/12 portal opening. So this does not mean, like I said in my video last night, this is not a Stargate in the sky. We are preparing for a great cosmic event, and numbers are frequency. Planets are frequency, offering their own resonance fields. So the 12/12 portal is an alignment that will take place in our consciousness, which is preparing us and synchronizing us and opening the doorway. The floodgates will finally, it's almost like the little hole in the dam that's going to pop open, the 11/11 portal, pop open, full moon, lunar eclipse, pop open, 12/12 portal, pop open, full moon or new moon in Sagittarius, total solar eclipse 2 days after. And then Jupiter will go into Aquarius, Saturn will go into Aquarius, and then on the winter equinox, December 21st, 2020, Saturn and Jupiter will make a grand conjunction for the first time in 20 years in the sign of Aquarius together on the winter equinox. This hasn't happened in thousands of years. And there will be a great solar flash. Okay, and these solar storms, these geostorms have already begun to happen after 2012. These solar storms happen, they hit the Earth, the light plasma hits the Earth, the Schumann resonance raises. Our bodies start to acclimate to these new frequencies that are coming in. The light plasma hits our DNA strand. It releases tons of toxins, old emotions, belief patterns, ancestral trauma into the system. The body starts to break down. The mental starts to break down. Your chakras begin to open at a faster rate ever than normal. This is the event we've all been waiting for. December 21st, 2012 was the end of the third dimension. We had a period of time in which this ending was to pop into place, and these timelines were to split. All these things that Abraham and Bashar and all of them have been talking about for years, other channelers who've come forward, things that we're seeing in our own lives, things that have built up to this. It does not mean that there's a new earth and we'll just hop on it. It's a little bit more fading out than that. But a lot of us feel like, is this what our life has come to be? Is a spiritual person who wants to die? No. That is what we're healing. And we are going to step into a new paradigm, a new belief. There is a new earth, and this is quantum physics. I want people to look up the physics of it because it sounds so sci-fi. This timeline split has already started to happen. You can see the polarization on the planet, December 21st, 2020. These planetary alignments, the sun will be in alignment with the galactic center. Okay, just a couple days before that. So, I mean, it's like boom, 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 preparing us this cosmic clockwork that, and it's not like, well, who's making this happen? No, it was always going to happen at this time because that's how the clock was built from the beginning. As soon as the universe was set into motion, it's like, oh, I don't want to go through Pluto opposite Chiron right now. It was always going to happen at this is exact time because the planets were always going to be there from the time you were born. It just is what it is. This is the time. And if you're not familiar with the Yuga system, you need to look up the Vedic Yuga systems as well, or cycles, because we're moving out of a iron age into a bronze age, which means we're going up in frequency. And so this is an amazing time to be alive. We came here to do this. And so some of the symptoms a lot of you are experiencing are really amping up right now. The sleep disturbances are out of control. Okay. And a lot of us are feeling things in our body, and a lot of us, I am getting, is we feel like we're either being watched or that our dreams are starting to come into reality more, kind of like they're showing me Freddy Krueger almost, like we are waking up because it feels like that person we were having a dream about is in the bed with us, and we're also having experiences in sleep time that are so real, but there's a lot of sleep disturbances, people waking up at specific times, getting long periods of sleep, not enough sleep. That's happening right now. There are crown chakra activations that are going to be coming in major as we get closer to this December 21st, 2012. This will activate all the rest of them as well, but this we will feel in such a way, okay? And yes, and it's going to cause a lot of recalibration of the different right and left brain hemispheres. They're talking about electricity as well. There's some kind of electrical circuitry that is changing right now, which is responsible for the body heat they're talking about. And the cold, like feeling like you've been electrically, now Kundalini can do this as well, but there's some kind of electrical energy in the body. And it's almost like when your hair stands up on end, when you get a little electrocuted, and that this is happening. And this is also responsible for the intense digestive and solar plexus issues that are happening right now. A lot of you are feeling like, almost like for those of you who are sensitive to gluten in certain foods, when you eat that food and you feel that tightness right there below the ribs in the center, and you feel that like a pushing pain, or that there's just even can be a pressure there. It's not like a pulsing like it is in the higher chakras. It feels real visceral, the ones down here. And the digestive issues are really ramping up as well. I'm not really having as much digestive issues, but
I've never had digestive issues like I did like this, and I have a gluten allergy. This was worse than my allergy. That's how bad it was for me in the digestive. And the pulsing, I just want to acknowledge that everybody's symptoms are going to be different, because Christopher's my pulse. I've got a fucking migraine. So just know that
mine will manifest as that as well. Don't get me wrong, behind the eye kind of stuff.
But you know, I didn't think about the stomach at all having to do with ascension. I just thought it was how I was eating, because I hadn't been doing that great. But when you said it, I was like,
but the thing is that the system is being recalibrated in such a way that this electrical shift is causing the enzymes, things that break down other things in the body. That's also why we're getting a lot of stiffness in the joints. I'm getting a lot of it. It's like, I'm not really doing anything. I'm drinking lots of water, but it's like there is so much buildup going into the joints, causing, you could say, toxic buildup. And that's why it's so important, the sleep, but the water. All the water is helping to carry a lot of this out. And it's just, and a lot of us are getting sick. There is a lot of like cold flu-like symptoms that are happening. And there is a lot of ear stuff happening, okay? So people having like strange, not just ringing, it's more like popping or pressure and things like that.
Pressure. I feel it as pressure, like I'm constantly digging at my ear.
And this is actually an ascension symptom. This has nothing to do with what's in your ear. It has everything to do with certain of you all who are becoming more like creative. You're using a different part of the brain, but it's actually affecting the ears, because there's stuff going on with the throat as well. So this whole thing is happening. Actually, the pressure's more coming from the brain. So you've got some different brain shit going on.
I do?
Yes, you do. Absolutely. But I'm talking to everybody. Have your dreams been pretty?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of clearing going on there, because we got to understand we can clear more in the dream time, because we can be lucid sometimes, but usually we're just along for the ride. And we're playing out all of those things more realistically and giving it a story and giving it names and faces. And we're doing that work and really processing those things. That's why so many of us, myself included, are waking up with the heaviness and the almost dread feeling.
I was going to mention that, like, there's probably a lot of you out there that are feeling overly emotional and wondering why now, my period, what's happening.
And I can't use that as an excuse, although I'm rising in Cancer. My rising sign is Cancer. So my body is ruled by the moon. Okay. Yeah. So I'm very in alignment with moon phases, which is why I can identify with you all so much. Okay. Because they fuck with me like that. They fuck with my energy levels, hormones, things like that. So I don't have estrogen the way y'all do, but
more tired. I've been really exhausted. And also in, winter and that, but tired.
Remember that we were having this fatigue conversation when it was 90 degrees outside. Okay.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to pull you away from being like me and trying to make it, it's winter time. That's some shit I would do. We were having these conversations on here and to each other about this back when it was 90 degrees. Let's be really real. And because I want to give it to that as well. But so much of the time we're inside and I take vitamin D. It's like, how much of the time do I really realize it's cold? My body absolutely knows. It absolutely is connected to all of that. It knows. But what's going on, there might be some seasonal depression going on for some, but this is not, we're talking stuff that they've never experienced before. They've had seasonal depression for years. So
I was going to say, it's so tricky with these symptoms, because it can be blamed on a 3D as well as a 5D. So it is tricky.
Yes, it is all connected if you put it together.
Figure it out. But I know, like, I hadn't had these, like, and I go through that like you do, where you're like, okay, maybe it's this, maybe it's this, maybe it's this. All right, it's probably spiritual. But
yeah, and because I don't want to immediately go there and be that girl, you know. I know, and I'm just like, you know, the doctor's like, you have a brain tumor, and I'm like, my pineal gland is on, you know, expanding, and it's just like I don't want to. I do want to honor both because I feel we should, and it's just my nature anyway. And but there are, go ahead.
Go ahead.
There is so much happening right now, and a lot of you are also noticing. Let's get out of this. Let's talk about some ascension symptoms that are positive, that are keeping you on track. You are seeing more signs and symbols, and how many of you are seeing 1212 all the time? That was never me. I've seen 1111 for years. Everyone's talked about that. 1212. I've started looking at the clock at 1010 and 1212, which are also, they have their own, you know, I've done a little reading, okay? But I just started back in the past month. I've been seeing a lot of the 333, 444, 555, lots of that still going on constantly looking at the clock at 555 or 333. And every single time I tell myself, don't get used to this. It's magical. You know, on Instagram, they're like, your love of your life is about to come into your life. Type yes to affirm. And I'm like, oh God, people are really falling for this shit. But that's how you get the followers. I get it. And but you know, and maybe that typing yes and believing it is making it happen. So I'm right there with them a little bit. But this whole, yeah, this 333 and stuff, when you see it, affirm it. Say, I got it. It doesn't mean that an angel's telling you everything's going to be okay, even though it could. And just because you're seeing 444 and Instagram said 444 means your guardian angel is with you, that might be your higher self saying, up, keep going, keep going. Don't go down that thought path again. Remember, look at all the progress you've done. You're doing a great job. It's your future self, your higher self, your team. They're all just going, come on.
Those synchronicities are to pull you out of the 3D and know that your spiritual self is like right there. Like, hey, can we pull you out of that 3D for a minute? Because you get
exactly. And sometimes you can get so used to it. For me, I get so used to it that I just look away. I'm just like, what's it supposed to mean already? It's just supposed to mean it ain't going away. It's not done. You're good. You're still there. You're still going. No matter how many weird places you just went in your mind, no matter how badly you just talked to yourself, you're still seeing it. You're still, this isn't done. It's not over. Your spiritual awakening, it's only up from here is what it says to me. And the 1212, I'm just like, of course that's happening because that frequency we're pulling in right now, and it's in our consciousness as well. You could look at it as law of attraction. But Katie said, I have been visited by so much wildlife, birds, every day, different species. I've taken it as a positive sign. That's what I meant by signs and symbols, because they were showing me that a lot of people are experiencing it as seeing things on shirts, and it's not just number frequencies. These are things that are repeating, that mean something to you. And Katie, this does mean something to you. There is a connection to you, to someone with certain birds, and you've always felt very connected to these birds.
I just heard grandmother.
There's some kind of connection there, and
kind, gentle grandmother. Sorry, kind, gentle grandmother.
And showing me a lot of like green, like this green I'm wearing right now. I'm seeing a lot of the color green as well. So there's getting back more into nature. You're spending too much time inside. I don't know if there's these fluorescent lights or where you are, but it's like there's something pulling you into that as well. But there are a lot of good ascension symptoms happening. There are cycles that are completing. There are things that you are finishing off before we go into this December 21st, 2020 event. You got to understand, the Schumann resonance, you know, my numbers are 7 and 13, but the Schumann resonance for I don't know how long on this planet oscillated between the hertz 7 and 13-ish, which is the same as our alpha brainwave frequency, which is a light meditative state. I find that very interesting. We are energetically, our brains are synchronized to the planet After 2012, this Schumann resonance started spiking. 25, 35, 45. Do you know how high it got last week?
It got really high, but I don't know the numbers, so please share.
1100 hertz.
Oh, shit.
And that is nothing compared to what's about to happen, because they are linking these Schumann resonance spikes to spikes in the solar flares. It's as if the light plasma hitting the planet is causing the Earth to ascend, but there is a physical, kind of like how greenhouse gases, the gases get trapped and it causes the temperature to go up. You could even look at it kind of like that as well. When the Schumann resonance spikes, the ascension symptoms spike. Not a lot of the spiritual ones necessarily, but a lot of the physical ones will feel so much because we're rooted here on the earth. We are the earth. It's just so incredible to me that this all is actually happening. This is shit I used to hear people say, and it's like, it's happening.
Well, we're here for this part of the next part of the ascension, and like spend time in meditation, spend time doing some of the shadow work we're talking about, spend time doing affirmations and say whoop whoop, got that message, or a thank you when you see these synchronicities. Like, those are things that are going to be really helpful to prep for this. You don't have to worry that anything's going to happen or go down, but to be aware of your energy.
Not a doomsday.
Right. It's going to be, just be aware of your energy. Just be more in tune with yourself and try those little prep things. Nothing to worry about, though. It's going to be powerful and really good energy.
And for some of you, this will be a your turn kind of thing. We, Jessica and I, will say, all right, join us, because it will begin for you, because they do talk about the waves. There are waves. The next wave is about to begin.
Here we go.
Here we go.
I'm ready for it.
I am so fucking ready. I am scared. It's like a roller coaster. I'm going to piss myself, but I'm probably going to get off and go, man, I wish I had kept my eyes open the whole time.
You know what? I mean, over these past two, I would, for the journey I had last time, I'd do this all over again. And that says a fucking lot. Like,
yeah, I do know we all will get to a point at some point, and we'll look back and we'll go, whew, now that we're here and we have felt the whole culmination of everything and we're not sitting in something, that was not as big of a piece as all the other wonderful parts were. I just wasn't able to see it then because I had to be there. But man, it's going to feel good when we're there. But it can be now. See, something just popped right back in and went, you're there now. This is the now you're talking about. You don't want to get then and go, why didn't I sit back and enjoy it? Why didn't I sit back and say, I'm glad I don't feel well, because I can take some time to rest, instead of being worried about how you were going to get better.
this was a good episode.
This was a damn good episode. We got a lot talked about this time, okay?
Tell me what you got going on this week, though.
Well, hey, that is totally fine. You have to do that with me, because I'll keep talking about this shit. So, of course, if you would like to find me or book a reading with me, you can go to my website. That's www.chrystophermedium.com. I also am on Instagram, and you absolutely should be following me there, at the@Astromedium for your ascension updates, energy updates, astro forecasts, all of that you can find on here on Facebook, on the Astromedium, and on Instagram. And I also teach astrology every Wednesday night at Eclipse over Roswell here in Atlanta, Georgia. You can go to visiteclipse.as.me/astro, and you can sign up for that class, which is every Wednesday night, $10, and you can do it over Zoom.
I was going to ask if it was virtual. That's awesome.
It is. We do it in person and it's virtual as well.
Cool. Oh,
that triggered me, because that's the sound I hate hearing every morning.
I'm so sorry.
Woo, child.
Well, I am Jessica. You can find me at thejessicatanselle.com, which is the best place to schedule an appointment with me, and I've got lots of options there. I'm teaching a mediumship circle every Monday before this. I teach it every Monday, 7:45 to 9. It's a great intimate group. We're talking about what mediumship is, how to connect, and then we do some practice work. So I love, love, love that. And in my intuitive witch circle, or in our group, I do a free new moon ceremony there. Now, this month's full moon ceremony, I can't wait for it on December 29th before the new year. But this
in Cancer
is a big new moon, like Chrystopher said.
Solar eclipse, baby. It's
So,
on.
And I want to just confirm, if you are not following Chrystopher on Instagram, he is like legit on what he posts, like so good. You all should be following him.
I put a lot of myself into it, okay? So I'm going to take that. Old me would have said, oh, stop it. New me is going to say, I affirm.
Yes, it is good. It is so good. And follow me too, the Jessica Tanselle.
Absolutely.
I'm back.
For your wonderful Magic Monday card pulls, which are, I love watching that whole thing go down.
I've been channeling those messages now. I'm just
good. It was bound to happen.
Yeah. Spirit ready. Well, I'm grateful for you. This was fun.
I'm grateful for you as well. Everyone, thank you for joining us for the Chronicles of Chiron, the Lion, the Witch, and the Healer. We will see you all next week here on Soulfire on Monday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a good night.
Have a good night.